And first of all, let's just say this. Like, shit like that doesn't happen to us.
No,
okay?
right.
Like, nobody like us has the probability of getting lit on fire in a car. Yeah. Like, that's just not something that happens to normal people. But, like, if you're just a law-abiding citizen, man, I mean, it's not like, you know.
It's definitely
the
raises
probability
questions.
of that happening is like, what?
Welcome to the Old Fashioned Real Estate Show, where hosts Brian Leverage and Jeffrey Holst pour out old-fashioned real estate advice.
Episode 24.
Welcome to the Old Fashioned Real Estate Show. My name is Jeffrey Holst and
Brian Leverage.
You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah. I'm Justin Fraser, asset manager. I work with Matt Faircloth.
And I'm Matt Faircloth from the DeRosa Group.
Great. So Matt and Justin have agreed to come on our show. This is the second interview we've ever done, so you guys are like in an exclusive club. You're number 2 and 3. I don't know which one's better, 2 or 3, but you guys can fight that out later. Yeah. But we really appreciate you coming on. Matt and Justin are multifamily real estate investors, right? Yep. That's what you do primarily now, multifamily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we wanted to talk to them about some of the things that they've encountered in their real estate investing career. So we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about because you're superstars. Matt's a Bigger Pockets author.
Yeah.
He wrote a book, Raising Private Capital, which is an excellent book, by the way. I have a copy of these paper straws, I don't know, right?
Yeah,
but
they're
anyway,
classy. You got the black trim on them
that's
and
right.
stuff like that. But, yeah.
That's right. So your book...
It's hard drinking bourbon out of a straw.
Yeah. It really is. It's like, true.
That's just not something that should be. Is this something that shouldn't be done, I don't think? Yeah. Cool.
Now,
so what do you want to get into, man? So, you want to get like down and dirty, nasty stories?
When I first talked to you several months ago, you told me that you always wanted to drink and talk about horrible landlording stories or something like that.
In some ways, it's a truth serum.
Yeah.
And that. And so it's funny because although Justin and I are doing a lot of bigger multi now, I grew into real estate by being more hands-on. And so I was like direct hands-on with tenants, showed the units myself, did all the hands-on stuff. So I got like battle scars and gray hair from tenants when I first got started.
I watched your first ever YouTube video on the DeRosa, and I'll tag it in the show notes too, so that people can see this. But unless you don't want me to, then I'll have to dig for it. But you were filming a flip
I got this video where you were like completely amateur and you're tripping on yourself. I'll show it to everybody, guys, so you guys can come watch
because
that.
Your current stuff is so much better than ours that like I want a comparison so they know where we're going.
I thought about doing that.
Yeah.
I thought about doing like a side-by-side comparison because it was one where it's like my skin was crawling when I was watching it. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, in this video that I watched, you actually were doing a live inside of a flip.
Yeah.
And you tripped over a box as you were doing it. And
I remember that one.
And then you also
like there's a box.
It comes with a free box.
Yeah. That's what you always got to make fun of yourself.
Yeah, no, but it was good. And you told me at the time, you said, the reason I watched this video actually is because I said, man, some of our stuff is pretty amateurish. Our first couple episodes, you've seen them. They're not amazing. But you said, just leave everything up. So that's what we do.
I learned it. Right. And I learned by watching Gary Vaynerchuk because Gary Vaynerchuk is somebody I look up to a lot. And he's said in his videos that it doesn't matter. It's just content, right?
Right.
And he showed a video side by side of him, his very first wine library video. If you know his story, he got started talking about wine online, right? And his very first video there, he's so nervous. And it's like, man, that guy needs to drink wine. Like he's just like, hi, Gary Vaynerchuk. And then he put it up next to the other one where he's like very, very fluid, very into it, no big deal and stuff like that. And I feel like I've done some transitions, but I just realized from him that it doesn't really matter what you talk about. It's as long as you're putting out content, people will enjoy it in some way, right? So that's my cell phone ringing.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Let me stop that from happening.
It's okay. We don't really cut, so you're just going to have to be partially out of the video. While this is,
yeah.
Hey, and
that's my ring.
You actually now are definitely second, by the way, because I actually, in our third episode, I think, or maybe our fourth, I forgot to turn my phone ringer off.
That's like a little shout out to my sense of humor with my cell phone rings and stuff like that.
Exactly. So, so we actually had a couple of people show up to watch us film. So hi guys, like that's a first for us. We don't usually have a live audience. So and I think I think they had a question for you, actually. They were telling me that they were doing a 1031.
What do you got?
Well, I don't think it was the other people that were here earlier, actually, that had this question, and I promised. Are you here? Yeah, you are. Okay, I can't see you because you're hiding behind my camera guy.
All right.
Do you want to ask
I'll
yourself?
give you choices, right? I'll give you guys the craziest acquisition story you've ever heard. I'll tell you the craziest tenant story you've ever heard. I could tell you a legal battle that'll probably make you tear up. I could. What else you got? We got any other stuff?
Well, listen. So she
You
told
probably
me.
heard. You know a lot of my
So
story.
she told me before she heard that you had a situation where the money disappeared.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and she wants to hear about that. That's what
Oh,
she
yeah?
told me. So,
Oh,
right?
great.
That's right. Yeah. So she wants to hear about that.
Okay, cool. I've told that one a lot, and so I've got. It's because it's like therapy telling that story.
Right.
You know. So we had this 18 unit in Philly, and we sold it with a group of investors. Sold the property, and I had vetted out a 1031 exchange custodian because 1031 exchange is where you sell a property, you can take the proceeds, you can roll it into the next deal without paying taxes, right? Okay, so we had rolled the money to a 1031 exchange custodian that I'd found online, and I'd vetted them on BP. They had a good following, and everybody, people spoke well of them and stuff like that. All good. So we were doing this even more complicated, something called a tenant in common purchase. We were going to take the proceeds and roll it into this bigger apartment building in something called a tenant in common, where those 1031 proceeds were going to buy like a little tiny slice of the new property, and then we were going to syndicate the rest. So
yeah.
So anyway, that was the bottom line of it. So we were about to close on the new property. I had raised, it was $3.2 million I had to raise, but the 1031 money was $700,000 of that. So I had to raise 2.5 total. So we call the 1031 exchange custodian a week before closing and say, hey, just want to let you guys know, this is where you have to send the money, and all that. And their phones are turned off. I'm like, huh.
Turned off. Nice.
Yeah. I'm like, where did they go? So I called him a few times. I emailed him. I had my lawyer send him a nastygram email.
Right.
That's like a nasty letter that lawyers write. They call them a nastygram.
I'm a lawyer, So
are
I
you?
know how
So
those
you
go.
know all about nastygrams. Yeah.
By the way, no attorney-client relationship by watching the video. Just so you know.
Yeah. So anyway, nothing shows up. So I Google these guys, like the company. And immediately the first thing that shows up was owner of property exchange company found, lit on fire in residential neighborhood, roaming around neighborhood with third-degree burns, right? And it turns out that somebody had taken this guy and put him in a car, poured gasoline on him, and lit him on fire. And he was the owner of the 1031 exchange company that I needed we needed his signature to free up my capital for this deal.
Wow.
And this guy is now in a coma. They put him in an induced coma because of the amount of burns that he had on his body and stuff like that, right? So I'm like, oh man, poor guy. Geez, that stinks. What are
you're feeling bad for him at that point.
First of all, guy's like, right? How's he gonna sign? Right? Like, what was he left or right-handed? Which hand was damaged? Can we just go in there and can I just move his hand around a little bit? Right? Yeah.
Conservatorship.
But at the end of the day, I felt
way.
like, oh, geez, that's awful. That's what happened to him. I hope he's got some sort of power of attorney or somebody else, whatever. So they finally get a hold of some of his employees, and they're like, yeah, listen, this guy, is out, so we can't really do anything for you. And we do more digging. And first of all, let's just say this. Like, shit like that doesn't happen to us.
No,
okay?
right.
Like, nobody like us has the probability of getting lit on fire in a car.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not something that happens to normal people. But like, if you're just a law-abiding citizen, man, I mean, it's not like,
It's definitely
the
raises
probability of that
questions.
happening is like, what was he up to? So we do more digging, and I get on BP and I read up some more stuff on this guy, and it turns out that a lot of other people are looking for their money too. And I do some more digging, and I talk to somebody else from BP. They call me, and they're like, oh yeah, so listen, this guy was running a Ponzi scheme. So it turns out that we had $715,000 tied up with this guy. We did, and then he had another like $5.8 million of other people's money. So a total of $6.5 million. That was tied up in a 1031 exchange thing. It was a Ponzi scheme. So what he was doing was people were taking their 1031 money, and he was taking that and buying himself assets, right? Now, I'm pretty sure, Jeff, some of that money went up his nose. If you know what I'm
it
saying.
sounds
wink,
like
wink,
it.
nudge, nudge.
It also,
right?
it also
yeah.
sounds. I mean, it also
Right.
sounds like maybe it was one of the other 1031 people that actually lit him on fire.
That's
what it sounds like.
His wife was Colombian. That's not even a joke.
Okay.
That's a fact. This guy's wife was Colombian.
This is
so
a lot more information than
those
I
people
saw
don't
in
mess
your
around.
book.
And at the end of the day, that's kind of how they resolve conflict. It's
Right.
like, some people read books and stuff like that and go to therapy. Colombians light people on fire. So, right?
Escobar.
That could have been a relative. Okay. Could have been anything. That might have been her maiden name. Who knows? But
well,
it's funny telling this story with a drink in your hand.
Yeah,
It's different. It's just a different story now.
No, because you're drinking, I'm going to give you a pass on not remembering the most important part of the story.
Which is
you made it right with your investors.
I haven't gotten that far yet, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. I ruined the story.
Me and all these other investors get together and get on a conference call, and we start assembling each other's, sob stories, and we do a class action lawsuit against this guy, okay? And we've already gotten one check. His insurance company settled. His wife settled as well. And now they're going after him to settle. So that's all in the mix.
Okay. So that's still going on now.
Yeah.
And this was how long ago was this?
About 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Because I think it was mentioned in your book, right? Actually.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
How'd you close the deal?
So that's the other side of the story, right? But like rewind to the fact that I'm about to buy a 198 unit apartment building from this cantankerous guy who's not going to give me any leeway, right? And so we ended up like, okay, well, first and foremost, how do you take care of those investors? Because that was not my $750,000. Part of it was mine. Part of it was my investors. So here's the first thing we did. And this was the painful part of it. That $700,000 was supposed to buy 18% of the deal through the 1031 exchange, right?
Sure.
Me and my partner had a 30% of the deal, and that. So what we did was we gave our 18% of our side to those investors to cover them.
Right.
We just gave it to them. Here you go. Here it is.
Right. So whatever you recover goes to you, so that helps at this point, right?
Well, it's the way it goes. Like this point is whatever we recover goes to them, buys down that. Just whatever dollar comes in first goes to those investors.
Oh yeah, so
make them whole first and foremost.
So that really cut your equity position down on that deal.
But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
I mean, our mantra is investors first.
Yep.
Investors first. Now, I talked to another guy, another syndicator. It's like you could. And he wasn't trying to talk me into this, but he said you have other options, right? One option you have is to go to your investors and say, hey guys, we got robbed, and this guy stole from us, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take whatever I have left in the company coffers, and we're going to go and lawyer up, and we're going to go after him, and we're going to do class action suit, and
I think you would have been within your rights.
Yeah, I would have been within my rights legally,
legal rights,
right? Says my legal friend, Jeff, not someone I've
right.
hired.
Well, I'm not giving you
not
legal advice either.
Right. Jeff's not giving me legal advice. We're just sitting over a drink, having a conversation, right?
That's right.
So at the end of the day, you're right. I could have done that, but I likely would have lost investors had I done that, and it would not have been the right thing to do because I view myself to be the custodian of their money. They trusted me to take care of them. It's my job to take care of them. And I wish more CEOs on Wall Street felt that way.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what they have entrusted me to do. It is my obligation. And so I will take care of them. Period.
I think that's exactly right.
I'm not going to buy myself a fucking Tesla with my investors' money like some other folks
You just
are
dropped
doing
the first F-bomb on our show.
Did it really?
No,
oh my God! Yay! It's a toast to the first F-bomb. This is likely the first. This is likely the first F-bomb on my YouTube channel. Likely the first F on my YouTube.
All right.
It's a toast for that.
Appreciate it, guys.
I'm only human, guys. Forgive me. I know we normally have a PG YouTube channel, so.
This is what happens when you're drinking, actually.
I work with Matt because the integrity and honesty that he lives
I do that too.
Yeah.
He doesn't, though. I curse for the both of us.
Yeah, he evens us out with the curse.
Yeah. Well, so Brian's a big fan of the F-bomb, so you're fine. It's no problem.
So, but it raises a great point. Like, you get into a situation that was beyond your control.
Yes, sir.
Right? And you got investors, there's fallout potentially from that, right? Nobody's happy that their money potentially went into a black hole.
What are you going to do?
But I'm sure, everybody's displeased about the situation. You putting yourself on the line, to make it whole. had to go a
That's all
long
you
way
can do,
with
man.
It adds a ton of credibility, and this is something
I
Brian
don't feel
and
like I had the option. The way that I align, and it's okay. I don't feel bad for myself about this, but I just, because of where my wife and I are with regards to this. Again, this is the booze talking or whatever, but Liz and I have life standards, right? The standards through which we live life, and it would have been a violation of one of my standards for the way I live life had I shorted those people. Or had I gone like, hey guys, we got robbed, I'm going to lawyer up and I'll let you know when the money comes back, have a good day.
Right.
No, they trusted me. It's on me to figure it out.
Well,
and only me.
Well, and Brian and I talk about this a lot because we sometimes raise money from individuals also, and my thinking is, and I know Brian agrees with it, and it sounds like you guys do too, which is great, is that it's one thing to lose your own money. It's entirely different to lose an investor's money. It's so much worse.
It's so worse that it's not enough.
It's game over, right? Like, because we can't do what we do if investors start losing money. They're not going to invest with you anymore.
There's that side of it.
But it's also it's also the right thing, right?
I don't discount that the side of it that it's a bad business decision.
Sure, I'm not saying it's only that, but that's important.
No, but you're right, and I'm not discounting. You're right about that, but it's also just the right thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's just the right thing.
Because these people, your investors,
they are.
You care about them, right? And a lot of times, the amount of money that they're investing with you is one of the biggest financial decisions they make.
Yep.
Somebody puts $50,000 or $100,000 into a deal. That's a huge amount of money.
Yep.
And if they lose it, it means they don't retire or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
They can't buy a Tesla. Or I should say a fucking Tesla.
God forbid. A fucking Tesla. Right. God forbid. Yeah.
Number two.
And I'm just repeating what I said before.
Yeah, I was quoting Matt actually, so it doesn't count.
Yeah. So
anyway, we apologize for the background noise.
Yeah,
that's what happens
it's okay,
when you do
guys.
live
There's folks doing what they got to do here. So I hope you guys can still hear on YouTube. So, what we ended up doing to raise the rest of the money was I ended up getting short-term bridge capital, like a short-term bridge loan, and I also just raised a few extra bucks and just scrambled really hard to raise money and raise a little bit of bridge money, which I immediately raised back out.
So how close to closing did you recognize this problem?
A week.
A week.
Oh. Yeah.
That's tough. $700,000 in a week.
$700,000 in a week.
Woo.
So
that's tough.
Long story short, I didn't raise all of it in a week.
Yeah.
But we had an acquisition fee. We had some other stuff.
Subordinated all that
I
stuff.
deferred all that. So we didn't raise all seven. I think we raised $400,000 in a week, right?
Still pretty good.
And I deferred $300,000, which we raised over like a month or two's period.
Yeah.
And I've raised that to close out the capital raise.
Well, see, now you guys got your 1031
so there's your
story. So the first ever live viewer questions. We've done viewer questions before, but they've always been submitted in advance.
I still got more booze.
Well, and we can buy more if you want. So.
Dan, can you check to see if YouTube has any questions? I don't know if you're able to.
Yeah.
Because we might have comments. I don't know if you guys want to comment.
I think we should talk about
it should be like a little comment thing. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can just touch the
That's
screen.
why I'm here.
Yeah, we should
And
talk
it's
about
okay
apartments.
if there's no comments on YouTube. I still love you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So you guys do mostly multifamily stuff. Why? What's the reason you're in multifamily versus, I don't know, industrial or something?
So I'll take this.
Go
For
ahead.
me,
Please do.
So large apartments.
Here, no, I'll just hold my mic up.
already.
Here you go.
Oh,
I am
okay,
not.
This way
He's
we'll make
Louis.
sure that everyone can hear.
He's a lightweight.
Yeah, it's fine. You want to hold
Okay,
that?
yeah, I'll hold that.
That I
Thank
don't
you.
have to reach across my end.
No, that's cool. All right.
Cool.
I could
So
just give it mine,
apartments.
but that's
This
fine.
is weird.
I'd rather be close over here.
Get a little closer.
Okay. I love this show. This is excellent.
Yeah, I told you it's a fun
Oh
show.
my God, so good. Listen, apartments allow us to create win-win-win scenarios. Okay, so first off, we're doing this as a business. So we, as the general partnership, we make money. That's what everyone gets into business for, right? Excellent. Also, we have investors. We just spoke about Matt and his investors and the integrity, and Matt has a lot of investors and a lot of deals, but they all make money too.
Sure.
They're investing in a deal so that they can make money. So that's our second win. The third win is we are actually repositioning and improving the properties that we're investing in. So we're taking properties, not all of them are huge renovations, but a lot of them we're investing millions of dollars into these properties. So we're taking something that might be empty, wasted space and turning it into a playground or a park or community area. And we're taking a unit, an apartment, and we're turning it into a nicer apartment or adding a bedroom. And so investors are making money, we're making money, and our tenants are getting a better place to live, and the value of the property is going up and up and up.
You'll never get this production quality
never.
anywhere else.
Just
than
listen,
on the old
we're just
fashioned
gonna have to yell and yell and yell. It's so good. It's like, it's great.
There's no way people on my YouTube channel heard a word you just said.
I hope you enjoyed.
I hope you guys enjoyed the last minute or two of silence, and then ricketing and cracking on this side of it. So,
Thanks for
because that
coming,
was awesome.
I
Well, you know,
appreciate it.
Justin just laid it down
But
and
that
all
was
that.
a really good answer, YouTube. So when our show comes out, then
You'll listen to it
get
then.
the answer.
You have to find old-fashioned real estate
right.
on YouTube.
Go to the old-fashioned real estate show.
/
Then y'all can hear what Justin said. Yeah.
Did I
That's
miss
awesome.
anything?
But no,
Cool.
so
I sure hope they've got more cards to roll out here.
As an
you know?
asset comparison class, right? Because you can do syndications in a lot of different asset classes, but you guys obviously are very successful doing it in multifamily. So why multifamily compared to, say, an industrial or maybe a portfolio of single-family homes?
You know, I'll my brief answer on why multifamily as an investment class is because people have to live somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
And as much as like Americans are changing the way they work, where they store stuff, the way they shop, Amazon's absolutely turned the world upside down the way they shop. Like 10 years ago, there were people, people don't remember, there were people syndicating, shopping mall deals,
we
and
own a
strip
retail
centers
center.
and stuff like that. Cool, how's that
fill
going?
that one first.
Yeah,
Ryan
right,
and I did one of those actually.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but like it's probably more of like a smaller, like a niche kind of
smaller
thing,
deal,
right?
yeah.
So there are people that used to syndicate and buy bigger assets
shopping
like that
malls.
for investments, but that whole world is changing. The one thing that doesn't change, and you can't like
You
just
can't
you
automate
can't
living
Amazonify
Yeah.
is the way way people live. Now Airbnb's even changing that, right? The way
Yeah.
people live. But who's to say?
But you still have to live somewhere.
you
right?
still need it right. You can't buy living online.
And you know what happens if your multifamily becomes a challenge because of Airbnb? You just start Airbnb your multifamily.
Your multifamily. That's the thing.
That
You
is an
can
option.
turn that property with the tide.
Yeah.
So
well, and I like what you were saying too about how you're helping individuals, right? Because by improving a property, you're giving people a better place to live, and there is actually real social value to that. And I think that's one of the reasons we love multifamily. Also,
this sounds like one of those kind of fuzzy, hokey things, but I swear it's true. Is that the mantra for my company, the DeRosa Group, and Justin, is to transform lives through real estate, right? And so I firmly believe that, and it sounds like super fluffy or whatever, but it's true. In that, like the folks that invest with us or whatever, they're getting a different return on what Wall Street could give them. We're trying to do better than a better standard of living than what our tenants are used to improve those things. Yeah. And we're also trying to give a better life to those that work with us and stuff like that across the board. So it actually, I feel like multifamily gives us a place to make an impact.
Well, you're changing your own family's lives. You're changing the lives of your tenants, and you're changing the lives of your investors because you're providing them a fair return on their income and a stable return, right? Because if you put your money in the stock market today, who knows what happens?
Or you go to Atlantic City.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, one of the two.
Choose.
Take your pick.
Well, we go to Vegas because Atlantic City's a long ways for us.
Is it? Oh, it's close.
Yeah.
It's a drive for us.
We're gonna come hang out with you. Yeah. Actually, can you talk briefly about your co-working space? Because I've seen a little bit about that on your channel, and it's really interesting.
No, that was almost like a one of those by necessity, kind of like you just kind of catch lightning in a bottle at some time, right? We bought this office building. It was one of these things we bought in New Jersey, and at the time, Governor Corzine was was running the state, and he was just leasing out office space left and right. They were hiring lots of employees. The state was growing its base, and so they were leasing up office space left and right at $18 a square foot plus expenses, plus 18 plus your real estate taxes, plus your everything on top, right? So on like a 10-year contract, okay.
Wow.
So, hey, that's not bad. So this office space that we had, it was right in the line of their absorption, came online, and it was $50 a square foot. What I could buy it for, right? It's like, I could lease that. I could lease that and get a third of my money back every year. Not bad, right? So, hey, I'll take that. So we bought it, and right after that, this guy you might have heard of named Chris Christie beats Corzine, right? For government.
He's a little bit more conservative.
No, not so much. And so he was like, look at all these contracts we have. I'm not going to sign those.
Yeah.
And all those leases, we're going to negate all those. And those office buildings we were going to build, I'm not going to do that. So rightfully so, he pulled the state back on a lot of its expenses and everything like that. So, and then, this is 2008. You know what happened in 2008? The bubble burst, right? So we're left with this office
you've
building
had this for a
with a
long
crashed
time.
real estate. Yeah, 11 years with a crashed real estate market, but nobody looking for 10,000 square foot worth of office space, right? So we, out of necessity, had to look at it and say, all right, well, what do we have? We didn't have anybody looking for 10,000 square foot, but I had a lot of people banging my door down looking for 200 square foot, right? A lot of people that just got laid off. Like my first tenant had gotten laid out from a huge law firm that wanted to go build a local law practice in Trenton.
Right.
And so I'll strike a deal with you. So here's my one tenant, run a little 200 square foot cubicle in this 10,000 square foot building.
Well, you know what?
Right?
Yeah, you might not know this, but in 2008, I was a bankruptcy attorney, so I was, kind of happy.
You were
about the
busy.
market.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I would have actually been super happy to rent 200 square feet from you if I was in your area at that point, because when I was working as a bankruptcy attorney, we wanted to have satellite offices, right?
Yeah.
So we want to have our main office was bigger than that, but it would have been great to have like a meeting space, in a convenient location.
So that's we figured out with okay, if I were to, if I'm a work from home entrepreneur and I'm having my face-to-face meetings in Starbucks because they got free Wi-Fi, right? Then if I'm that person, what would attract them to my building? Okay, how about conference rooms? How about this? How about that? So we developed the building to meet the young entrepreneurs' needs. So we put in conference rooms. We did building Wi-Fi. We included everything in the rent. So you pay me one number, and that includes common area maintenance, cleaning service, bathrooms. We had events. We had parties in the building. I found some local artists, and I'm like, hey, let me put your work on the wall of my building, and I'll help you sell it. So I've filled up, instead of like those cheesy things on the walls of guys rowing where it says success, like instead of that, what you see in most offices, I have real art on the wall, and we sold a bunch of it.
That's great.
We rotated because we've sold it.
Well, and I see these buildings now, but in 2008, I don't remember anything like that. So
you would have had to come to Trenton.
Trenton, New Jersey, the thought leaders of America.
Right.
That's right.
Right. So by the way, it did exist. This concept did exist. I am not the inventor of shared workspace.
I wasn't suggesting you invent
right. It was out there. Regis was doing it way before then. But they weren't doing it in like the scrappy urban style that like the WeWorks of the world were doing it in and stuff like that.
They've been having trouble lately.
Not so much. And I'm not running around barefoot drinking tequila, just so you know.
Well, you are actually running around drinking old fashions right now.
But I am wearing shoes. We should all know that I have.
We appreciate it, though.
Yeah,
but now, by the way, now in 2019, that is a fun place to work.
It's vibrant.
Most days a week, we have a lot of young entrepreneurs, people that are out building, hustling, collaborating. Deals are getting bought and
What's the
sold.
place called?
It's called The Hive.
The Hive. I knew it had a good name.
But I can't say that. I'm not taking any ownership of any of this. My property manager thought of this whole thing. Because before they came on, the building used to be called 354 South Broad Street. Right?
Well, you know what? My first business, like the first real estate we have, the LLC, is 2655 Maple. So
I'm creative, but I'm not a good marketer. So they the model, the Hive, and let's get a shared printer, and let's do a little carry coffee machine, and put a kegerator in, and all that. Cool, the kegerator's
I'm gonna come hang out with you.
You should.
If I get to New Jersey, I'll look you up.
You should. Sure. And then they did this model where they leased. It was like roving desk, they called it, which is pretty much come in the building, get a mailbox, and bring your laptop. You don't get an actual office. You just sit around in a chair and go online with your laptop and stuff like that.
Right.
And we rent that for $150 a month.
That's awesome, yeah.
And I'm like, who's going to rent that? We have like 20 people signed up for that now.
So I live like 750 miles, give or take, from you, and I'm thinking about renting it now because it sounds pretty good.
Come every Wednesday. It'd be great. Yeah, we'll see you there.
Seems like a long commute for me, but if you're in Trenton, you should check out the Hive, right?
Yeah,
so
and Slade House, our property manager's done a bunch of them now.
Cool.
They've got it's their model. I've got like a pigeon toe ownership of it, of the Hive concept, and they have Hive models all across the Northeast.
Well, listen, so one of the rules on our show is when we finish our drinks, the show's over, and I see you've finished your drink. So, you got a couple sips. So is there anything else you guys want to tell us before we wrap up?
You guys are fantastic because you're causing real estate investors to drink Truth Serum.
That's right.
And
that's the strategy.
And just really talk real estate shop. And so thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you.
You're our one of our top 3 favorite guests. So,
Wow.
In unranked order. I don't pick favorites, but yeah.
There are no egos.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thanks again for your time.
Yeah,
guys.
and you
enjoyed
guys
it,
should-
and
Yeah,
Gentlemen,
cheers.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you should all jump over to the DeRosa Group's real
Yeah.
estate.
Oh, yeah.
and
Check
if
out
you-
DeRosaGroup.com.
Yeah.
Check out
Information up here
We'll
later on.
definitely link it on our show notes so that people can find
We'll
you.
be linking. And
Yeah,
if you heard
appreciate
about
it.
half of this on the DeRosa Group YouTube page, that's okay. You just go to
That's
Jeff's
right,
page.
our page, but ours won't come out for about a month. I apologize for that because we are a little slow in the editing phase.
It's all
So.
good. We'll see you then.
All right.
All right,
Well, we'll
thanks
look forward
guys.
to it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.